Welcome to the Spiral Up podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Lachelle Wieme, a peak performance coach and business strategist dedicated to helping you see what's possible within you, the blind spots that are holding you back, and the solutions to ensure success and fulfillment without the hustle. I use my secret sauce of metaphysics, brain science, and scripture to work with God to manifest your ideal life and business. If you're ready to create massive forward momentum in your business and bust through the blocks that drag you down, join me on the Spiral Up journey and create the clarity, confidence, and consistency to become the CEO that lives your life by design. It's time to create the sustainable impact, income, and time freedom you desire faster. Now is the time to spiral up.
Hey friend, welcome back to the Spiral Up podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Lachelle Wieme, and you might be noticing if you've been watching on YouTube that I have a different background behind me. I am recording on location from my parents' farm in southern Minnesota, and I cannot resist being outside in this beautiful, beautiful day. So I hope that you guys are able to pick up a little bit of the beautiful birds chirping, and I am so stinking excited to continue on this 3-part series that I have inside of the Spiral Up podcast, all about the illusion of control. Now, I've been weaving in some really powerful interviews that you guys have had a chance to hear from amazing people like Jennifer Allwood, and you're going to be hearing from a very dear friend and an amazing expert inside the Spiral Up community, Sarah Dugard, in just a moment. You are going to be hearing from an amazing expert inside of the Spiral Up community, Sarah Dugard. And you guys, she is incredible as well. But in the meantime, I'm weaving in some very, very powerful conversations around control. If you heard the episode that I did on this the last time, you know that it was inspired by a really amazing conversation that I had with some dear friends and clients inside of my hot tub one Sunday morning while we were enjoying coffee and mimosas. And it really just hit home that I knew that I'm not alone. I know that they're not alone when it comes to this whole influence, I guess, on control. And so again, if you are just jumping into the series, we are going to be unpacking something special that I know that you've likely wrestled with too. Whether you're leading a business, raising a family, or both, the illusion of control can get in our way, like without us even realizing it. It sneaks in like a stinky little devil that can block our progress without us even being aware of it. So in the last episode on control, we explored why letting go feels so stinking scary and how trauma can trick us into thinking that control is safety. But there is another sneaky part that comes in that we don't always see. And it's that sometimes control doesn't look like controlling. It looks like perfectionism. It looks like martyrdom. It looks like we're doing it all and representing, what it looks like to have our shit together, right? Meanwhile, we're resenting everyone while we're smiling through gritted teeth. Like, if you can relate to any of that, this episode is for you. So today, we're going to talk about that. We are going to go into and expose those patterns for what they really are. And we're going to show how those are essentially blocking your flow. And honestly, my goal is to help you loosen the grip. Okay. So I want to just take this moment and acknowledge this truth of the hug, right? Let's be honest. Control doesn't always show up as being bossy or being a type A person. Sometimes it can show up as triple checking your emails so that no one sees a typo. It's doing all the dishes even though you're exhausted because no one else does them right. It's staying up late recording your Instagram story 9 times because your voice sounded weird, right? Friend, this isn't excellence. Is actually fear in disguise. Fear of judgment, fear of disappointing someone, fear of not being enough or being seen as not enough, more importantly. And so what happens is we try to control the outcome by controlling the image. But perfectionism is literally just procrastination with better branding. Like, that's my little truth of the hug. So the truth is that perfectionism is not about high standards. It's about high anxiety with a sparkle filter on it. And in manifestation, it's really just a frequency mismatch, because perfectionism is rooted in fear. Fear of what happens if you're not impressive, fear of what people are going to say if your podcast stutters or your offer flops or your Canva post is just a little right? But aligned action is what I'm asking all of my Spiral Up people to do, is really rooted in faith. It's the faith that even when we're messy, that messy action still carries power. It's the faith that your voice matters more than your polish. It's the faith that your worth is based not on performance, but on the permission that you've given yourself to show up fully. You don't magnetize miracles through micromanaging. You magnetize by moving even imperfectly while in being in belief, right? You manifest by moving even imperfectly in belief. So let's talk about the glamorous one, the martyrdom, right? Like, the to be a martyr. Martyrdom is really the voice that says, like, I'll take care of it. Like nobody helps me anyway. It's fine. I'll just stay up late and finish it again, right? That resentment sneaks in. Martyrdom makes you the hero and the victim all in one breath. Ugh, that can hit you right here. You give and you give and you give, not always out of love, but more out of obligation. And then, low key, you start to resent everyone around you for not matching your effort. Sound familiar? Martyr energy feels holy, but it's deeply rooted in lack. Because what's happening is that it assumes that if I stop doing it, then the world will stop turning. If I'm, resting, then I must be lazy. Or if I ask for help, I must be weak. And that is exhausting. Something that I used to struggle with here is that if I ask for help, then I'm a bother and that I'm going to be bothering them and they're not going to like me as much, right? So then what would happen is I would do all the things, especially, I hate to admit this, but when I was leading a very large network marketing team, and out of my servant leadership, in air quotes, I would do all the dang things because I felt like, I could handle it. I'm happy to do it. I don't want to bother them. They're busy, right? And then ended up happening is on my heart, I was frustrated that nobody was rising up to be a leader, or that I was the one that was figuring it out on Sunday night when, I had other things to do. I was the one taking on that role. And without even realizing it, I was allowing this control, this martyrdom, to essentially steal my joy and to stifle and block the abundance and the flow within my team. I had to shift all of that. And now, oh my goodness, like I lead in a totally different way. And I almost feel sorry for, myself and the people that had to endure me figuring this out. And so if you can relate to any of that, you guys keep listening. All right. So if we're doing the things like, oh my gosh, if I stop, everything's going to fall apart, or like we carry that, badge of busy as our badge of honor, it's exhausting. It's exhausting for our body. It's exhausting for our energy field and for our manifestation power. So the reminder is that you are not created. As a reminder, you are not created to burn out for the sake of appearing selfless, right? You are not more lovable because you're depleted. Like that's an illusion. And so to kind of point this in a real life scenario. So I'm going to tell you about one of my clients. I'm just going to give her a name. We're going to call her Natalie. And she came to me utterly fried. Like she was super successful running a successful holistic practice. She was homeschooling her kids. She was volunteering at church. She was still making sourdough bread every week. Like she's doing all the dang things, right? And she said, I'm proud of my life. But honestly, Lachelle, like I've allowed some bitterness to creep in. And why does it feel like everyone else gets to rest while I run around being the glue for everything? And then we got really honest and we recovered something super powerful. And sometimes this is so, hidden in our subconscious, but she was addicted to the feeling of being needed because being needed made her feel worthy. So even when she could delegate, she didn't. Even when she could rest, she filled in the gap. And that energy was bleeding into her business. Her content was tight. Her launch felt forced, and she felt like her audience was shrinking. So what we had to do was rewire that belief. And we had to help her understand that being does not require overdoing. Once we rewired that belief, that being does not require overdoing, she started making money without overfunctioning. She took Fridays off. She allowed her body to soften, and her marriage even got better because she stopped managing everything and started to magnetize the life that she wanted. So what's the common thread here? The common thread is that perfectionism says I have to earn the outcome. Martyrdom says I have to sacrifice myself for others to succeed. Overfunctioning says I can't trust anyone else to show up. But all three of these things are actually rooted in fear. Fear of being unseen, fear of being understood or misunderstood, fear of that not doing it all, you'll lose it all. And that energy, it blocks the very thing that we're trying to call in. What we want is for clients who want to pay you, but your energy says, I'm exhausted, so please don't hire me right now. Can you see that? How that's a manifestation block? Opportunities that feel aligned, but your plate is too full to say yes. Blocking that manifestation. That rest and space and intimacy and joy, the things that you deeply crave, but you feel guilty for receiving. So you block the manifestation of them. That really all comes down to, friends, like us acknowledging that control can be introduced into our lives and played out into our lives in ways that essentially wear a different mask. They wear the mask of perfectionism. They wear the mask of martyrdom. It wears the mask of the overperforming. And it's really when we can acknowledge that, and when we know better, we do better, we can start to recognize where these things are starting to show up in our lives. And when we can see that, we can start to shift them. And so as we wrap up this one, I want to encourage you to do a little self-audit, okay? So I want you to ask yourself honestly, where am I doing things that no one asked me to do just so I feel valuable? Okay? Where am I doing things that no one asked me to do just so I feel valuable? What would I stop doing if I trusted that it was still safe, worthy, and loved? What would I do if I felt like I was What would I do? Jamie, I'm so sorry. I was thought about recording this entire thing over again, and I am just going to thank you in advance for fixing the things that I've messed up without keeping track of when I did that, okay? So here we go again. What would I stop doing if I trusted that I was still safe and worthy and loved? I'm going to repeat that, okay? So what would I stop doing if I trusted that I was still safe and worthy and loved? And if your list is long, that's okay. This isn't about shame, because shame is going to drop you down to that lower vibrational level. We're not going to go there. But it's about awareness. When I know better, I do better. And because when you're aware, you can shift it. And when you shift it, you can spiral up. Whew, right? So I know that's a deep one. And especially when you never saw yourself that way, or never saw that the things that make you you or make you special are actually the things that might be blocking your manifestation. So next week, we're going to hear from Sarah. But the week after, we're going to complete our 3-part series on control. And in that episode, we're going to go even deeper, but in a totally different direction. We're going to be talking about what true surrender means. Not passive waiting, not letting go, and not doing nothing, but allowing ourselves to co-create with God from a place of trust and ease and enoughness. We're going to talk about how time management shifts when you surrender. We're going to talk about why your nervous system is your secret superpower, and how surrender actually speeds up success, not slows it down. So until then, go and do that self-audit. Say no to one thing this week that you normally would have guilt said yes to. And remember that your value is enough in your own unique way. Like, it was never tied to your performance. It's in your presence. And until next time, friend, I cannot wait to hear how this is impacting you. So leave a review, send me a message. Let me know where you're struggling with this. And if you want me to extend this 3-part series beyond, these 3 things, I'm more than happy to, because I am here to serve you. I want you guys to continue to be able to spiral up. I want you to be able to manifest consistent 10, 20 and above months with ease and flow and joy, and allowing yourself to have the freedom to come back to who you truly know you are. And one thing I'm going to just invite you to, in addition to the audit, obviously, is inside of the show notes, you're going to have access to a very special tool that I use on the daily, right? And this is a tool that's going to help you to not only identify where you may have some stuck emotions that are contributing to this process and this stuck point, but it's also going to give you a tool, meaning it's going to analyze your voice. It's going to figure out where you're stuck emotionally and what blocks you might have in your subconscious and in your body. And it's going to give you a prescription of music to listen to that is going to bring you back into balance. And so here's the thing. When we know better, we do better. We can, make things shift, right? But oftentimes what happens is that if we have a dysregulated nervous system, if we have allowed the fight and flight to kind of run off like its own entity, then we cannot allow ourselves to use our logic, our know better, to be able to do better, because it literally just spins. And so what I want to encourage you to do in the meantime is to allow yourself to have this neutralization of your emotions, so that when you can get yourself regulated, then you can allow your thoughts, the knowing better, to actually start to sink in and to be able to give you some new direction how you can do better. And that allows you to make massive strides. So in the show notes, there's going to be a link in there for my quantum voice analysis. It's going to analyze your voice. It's going to tell you where you're out of range of emotions. And more importantly, it's going to give you some music that you can listen to that shifts you back into balance. It regulates your nervous system so that you can start to use this logic to make massive shifts in your life. It is a powerful tool, and I cannot wait to hear how that also impacts you for the better. So, all right, guys, until next time, let's keep spiraling up. You got a world of impact to make, and I cannot wait to be back here next week. So, all right, guys, see you next time.
So much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe and leave a review. Each honest review helps me spiral up so that I can serve you even better. Whether you're feeling a lack of impact, income, or time freedom, or perhaps you're just ready for massive momentum in your business, let's chat. Apply for a breakthrough call so that you can gain clarity, identify what's holding you back, and make a plan to spiral up. Head on over to iam-lifebydesign.com/breakthrough or access the link in the show notes. For immediate support, plug into our community, the Better Club. We focus on inspiration, tactical guidance, and support. This is a community that wants to be better, do better, and have better in life and in business, and we're going to help you do the same. Let's spiral up, friends.